Hi everybody, welcome back to Sunshine Soap and Candle Company. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to make a cold process soap using beer and hops. This is going to be a beautiful soap, an all-natural soap using essential oils, colloidal oats, and French green clay. We are also using hops infused olive oil, and we're using beer as the liquid for our soap. Now you might be wondering why we're using hops and beer to create soap. Hops are a plant and a flower, and they look like this. Aren't they gorgeous? And they are the main ingredient in beer, and it helps to flavor the beer. But they're also very well known for their use in hair care and skin care. They're really good for your body inside and out, and they contain amino acids that help soften and soothe the skin, along with polyphenols that really help to combat skin redness and irritation. So overall, hops and beer are a great additive to use in your handmade or cold processed soap. So today I'm going to be actually sharing the recipe with my YouTube family. I'm going to be talking about the amounts of every ingredient that we're using, but I'm also going to be posting the amounts in the description box below so you can recreate this recipe if you like. For my patrons this week, I'm going to go ahead and write up the full step-by-step detailed tutorial. There are kind of quite a few a little bit complicated steps if you're new to cold process soap making or you haven't made this type of soap before. So I'm going to go ahead and write up a full detailed step-by-step tutorial along with the formula and links to purchase all the ingredients that are used here for this recipe. So if you're interested in that, please head on over to my Patreon campaign where you can unlock this recipe for just a $5 pledge. Not only can you unlock this recipe for a $5 pledge, there are a ton of other cold process soap recipes over there that you can access for the same pledge, and 3 years now of archived skincare, hair care, and candle recipes. It's a great value. $5 will get you 3 years of archived recipes. There are other tiers on my campaign to take advantage of if you're interested. We have things like coupon codes to my favorite suppliers, live monthly hangouts, live classes. We have monthly gift packages. So I'm going to go ahead and place the link to my campaign also in the description box. I really encourage you to check it out. There's a ton to take advantage of over there. And thank you to all my patrons who subscribe every month. It is people like you that help me keep bringing you great content like this every week. All right, let's make some beautiful beer soap. All right, in this container here, I have grapeseed oil, sweet almond oil, shea butter, coconut oil, castor oil, and hops infused olive oil. So in the detailed written tutorial, I'll be writing up step by step how to infuse your olive oil with the hops. But generally speaking, all I do is I take these dried hops. I got them from Mountain Rose Herbs. They're organic. And you place them into a mason jar, and then you pour your olive oil over the top of the hops. And then I place my mason jar then into a warm water bath in a crock pot overnight and just let the olive oil get completely infused with the hops. And that's why we're seeing this kind of yellow color to our oil, because that's the color that the hops had changed the olive oil to, which is a lovely, beautiful pale color. All right, so the next step then is to go ahead and put on my goggles, my gloves, my long sleeve, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to prepare the lye solution for this recipe. Okay, so what I have here is 16 ounces of beer made into ice cubes. But before I made it into ice cubes, what I did was I boiled it off for about 30 minutes, or I had it at a low simmer for about 30 minutes the night before to boil off the alcohol. You can't just put lye onto alcohol. You'll get a volcano or a small eruption. So you have to make sure that your alcohol is thoroughly boiled off. And so that takes about 30 minutes. You're going to lose a lot of volume when you do that in your beer. So you want to make sure you have more than enough if you want it to be a complete water substitute. If you don't have enough beer at the end, you can always just use distilled water to replace the difference. But this is going to be what I use for the liquid in its entirety for this recipe. Then I went ahead and I made it into ice cubes because I don't want to scorch the beer. I want to make sure it stays nice and cool so we don't scorch it, although this will probably turn a dark brown as we start to add the lye in, and it's probably going to give off a weird smell. Now, not to worry, it does not come through in your finished product, but it is something to be aware of and you don't have to worry about it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put on my goggles since we are working with lye, and lye is very caustic. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna slowly add the lye in bit by bit, and as it touches the ice cubes, it will start to melt. And I'm just doing this like you would do with a milk soap. It's kind of the same idea, or a tea. You're just going to slowly add your lye. See how it's already melting there? And then you're just going to start to give it a stir just to kind of get that process going. And we're going to do this until all the lye is incorporated and we have a liquid solution. As you can see, my lye is doing a good job of melting down my ice cubes, and we're just going to continue on this process until everything is completely melted down. Oh, by the way, I used a light colored beer. I used a light lager because I don't want to use any titanium dioxide in this recipe, and I want it to be fairly natural looking in color. I don't want a dark brown soap. All right, I'm going to keep going along on this process, and then I'll bring you back when we're all nice and melted down and we're ready to move on to the next step. Okay, so all of my ice cubes have melted down completely, and you can see we have a nice fluid homogeneous solution here. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and just set this off to the side. It's a nice kind of caramel looking color here, which is perfect. It's not too dark in color. And I'm just going to go ahead and set this aside. Now I can see there's probably a little bit of carbonation still present in this because of the bubbles and the froth. However, a lot of it has been dissolved out and boiled out, but we might experience a little bit of acceleration in our soap if we are not careful. So here we have our melted down oils, and what I'm going to do is add in my colloidal oats. Now these are very soothing to the skin, calming, also helps with redness and irritation, much like the hops do. So this is going to be a very soothing soap, and I'm just going to add in 2 tablespoons of colloidal oats to my batch. And then I'm going to go ahead and mix in the colloidal oats before we add the lye solution. All right. Okay. Now that my colloidal oats are all dispersed into here, it's time to go ahead and slowly add in the lye solution, the lye and the beer solution, to the oils and butters. Now, it did warm up a little bit, which is okay. That's to be expected when you're adding lye to any type of liquid. However, this is very low in temperature. It's probably right around 95 to 100 degrees. I'm just going to slowly pour that in. Okay. And I'm just going to bring this to a light trace because, again, I don't know exactly how much alcohol content was left in my beer, and I want to make sure we're not getting so much acceleration. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. We're sitting just at a super light trace. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and split my batch. And this is how I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and pour about half into this container here. I'm just eyeballing it. And then to this half, I'm going to be adding in some French green clay. Now, French green clay is going to add some green color to this soap, but it's also going to help with detoxifying. So this is going to give it a natural green color. We don't have to add any micas to this soap, although it's okay if you do that as well. I use micas all the time. But for this soap, I wanted to keep it all natural. So I'm going to go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons of French green clay. And we're just going to give this a little bit of a low pulse. Okay, and I'm actually going to stop right there because I don't want to over blend this, and I do still want to mix in my essential oil blend. So in this container here, I have 0.6 ounces of patchouli essential oil and 1 ounce of clove essential oil. And this is going to give this soap a really nice, earthy, kind of spicy, earthy fragrance to it while remaining all natural. So I'm going to go ahead and pour about half into here. I'm going to give it a good stir by hand. We're just going to mix in that essential oil, and then right before I pour it into the mold, I'll give it another quick blend. Or maybe I won't actually. I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Just trying to make sure my clay gets nice and dispersed. Okay. So it is moving a little quick at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour in my green. And then I'm going to get my second half of the batch over here. I'm going to pour in my essential oil, the rest of my essential oil. I'm leaving this caramel color. I'm not going to put any color on this. And this will lighten up as well. After it saponifies, it's not going to stay this dark. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my, giving this a nice blend. And all I'm going to do is pour it over the top of this, but I'm going to pour it straight down the middle so we create a little bit of a divot in the middle of the soap. So I'm probably going to have to go from a little bit high up here and just try to stay directly in the middle. I'm going to go back and forth like this until it's all filled up. So as you can see, we are setting up a little bit, which is okay. I still had a good amount of time here to work with this soap. And that's just from the alcohol and also the clove essential oil has also a way of speeding things up. It smells nice and spicy and earthy. It just smells gorgeous. So as you can see, as I'm working with it, you can see that the color is turning to a lighter color, kind of a tan. Okay, so all I'm gonna do here is just grab a spoon and I'm gonna texturize the top just a little bit. First, I think I'm gonna take my spoon and just kind of flatten it out. Just get everything evenly distributed. Okay. And then all I'm going to do to the top of this soap is texture it this way, and then I'm going to go ahead and put hops. I'm going to decorate the top with the hops. Okay, so the last little bit here is just to decorate the top with our hops flowers. All right, so here I have these hops flowers that I showed you earlier, and all I'm gonna do is incorporate these across the top going this way. So I tried to pull the ones from my container that were, there's a bunch of the leaves and stuff, the petals and stuff that have fallen off. But I tried to pull out the ones that looked whole, still whole flowers. And we're just going to go across the top. Perfect. So the last thing I'm going to do here is just take my 99% rubbing alcohol, and I'm going to go ahead and spritz the top down just to make sure we prevent any soda ash from forming on the top of this soap. And I think it's just absolutely gorgeous, natural looking beauty here. So tomorrow we'll be able to go ahead and cut this soap. I hope you'll join me for the cutting. Stay tuned. Okay, so it's been a little less than 24 hours now, and we're ready to go ahead and cut this hops infused soap. It's set up very quickly, and beware, this soap does heat up because of the beer, the sugar, and also the clove essential oil. So I did get a little bit of cracking across the top, but overall very beautiful. So just make sure you make this soap at room temperature so you're not overheating it. You might even want to pop it in the freezer if you're concerned. So we're just going to go ahead, and I'm using my single bar slicer today because I want each soap to have one whole hop flower on it. So there's that. So I think it's gorgeous. All right, I'll go ahead and cut one more. All right, everybody, that concludes today's video. I hope you loved it. I hope you learned something. If you did, please remember to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment or question below. That really means a lot to me. Subscribe to my channel and share this video with a friend. All right, everybody, bye. Keep shining.